Okay, check these real quick. Okay, it's a
Going on,
pleasure to
man?
sit down and talk with you again. It's been a
Heck
little
yeah.
bit.
It's been about a year, close to a year now.
Yeah. So, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Rudy Sines, and I've been in the Marine Corps for 15 years, but I also been producing for over 15 years now, music, and just always been a creative person.
Producing, what do you mean by producing?
I produce, so I big creative, so I've been producing like pop music, hip hop music, synthwave, while I've been also, growing in the Marine Corps and using the Marine Corps as a tool to help me get around the world. But also, I stay in because I just like working with Marines.
I'm curious, why did you choose the military?
I wanted to set a good example for my son. I had a kid at 18 years old, and I was never I've always been a thrill seeker.
Mm-hmm.
Been skateboarding for years as well. I'm not the greatest now, but I was always ollieing 7 stairs and trying to do like double heel flips and inward heel
Yeah.
flips, stuff like that. I thought that was cool, but at the same time, I knew that I needed to do something to set the bar high for my son. And what I mean by that is I wanted him to look at me like somebody that has made brave decisions in life. So whenever he feels that he has to make a brave decision, he can look at and reference me either for wisdom or knowledge or how to get through something. And I'll have the tools and the wisdom to actually provide him.
So you can be like a role model to him.
Exactly. I wanted to be a role model, but not just a contemporary role model. I wanted to be his Superman or his hero. At least I want to strive to be that. Regardless if I did or didn't do that.
So you wanted you to be essentially a superhero for him and a mentor for him.
Exactly.
What's the importance of a mentor for you throughout your life?
So the importance of a mentor. It's a really good question. I didn't have mentors growing up, and I always heard people speak of mentors, but I didn't comprehend why they were actually valuable. I just heard you need a mentor, you need a mentor. As I got older, I started learning from people. So I started like digging into the books, audio books, and then I'll buy the physical book. But I realized like there's years of wisdom that's trapped in a 300-page book. So as I kept learning, I was like, dang, this guy's my mentor. Myron Gold is my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Bet David's my mentor. I keep learning from them, and they're the reason why I'm able to not only continue my journey but earn my wealth as I go through life.
So it's not as much as a physical mentor, but those books have hundreds of years of knowledge trapped within them, and you can just
Exactly.
take that.
Yep. And right now, with my current position in my job, I don't have the time to actually sit down and read them, but I'm
Mm,
always traveling, so that's why I say audiobooks. And I would definitely recommend anybody that doesn't like reading a book or feel like they don't have the time. However many hours you sit in a vehicle per week is how many hours you can actually be, feeding your brain with knowledge.
my mom does that too, like sub out the music for something like that, and you just keep learning.
Exactly.
I heard this one thing. I was like scrolling online, and it was this guy he reads a book, but he also listens to it, the audiobook, on like times 2 speed.
Yep.
So then he's like gaining information, and he's actually reading and making it happen.
I usually do like 1.3 or 1.5. If the book is really good,
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to reciprocate everything in that book. So I'll just read it. I'll listen to it at the speed because sometimes books will make you think like very deeply, and you're like, dude, I can't be going at 1.5 speed or times 2 speed and just totally skip over a point.
Yeah. And what do you mean by reciprocate?
Like receive the knowledge. Like if it's giving me something, sometimes I have to think about what there's like if they're making a statement or providing some like something that has some like very if there's a lot of depth in the meaning.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to just soak it in
Well,
and actually
and
think
because
about
you
it.
said you listen to Patrick Bet David, I know he's got good information out
Mm-hmm.
there. So I know you gotta like really take in that type of information.
Yep. Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
Yeah,
That book.
mm-hmm.
I bought the audiobook and I also bought the physical book as a trophy.
Really.
Yeah, so that book will definitely make you think.
So going back to why you chose the military, you chose it because you wanted to be that hero, the influence for your son, and be the best version of yourself.
Yep.
Why'd you choose the Marines?
Because the tenacity at which we accomplish our goals in life and our leadership, like the tenacity that we apply towards leadership, I think it's second to none. I cannot think of a better culture that's in America that harnesses the amount of tenacity that's required to be a go-getter as much as the Marine Corps. I would have got, so I joined to be a mentor, but I stayed because I love being around a bunch of go-getters. You know, there's an expert in like there's an expert for physical fitness over here by one of my Marines, and there's an expert like Sergeant Major somebody is an expert at leadership. We're all students of leadership if you're trying to be a good leader, but I stayed in because of the like how aggressive Marines work towards accomplishing their goals, and I wanted to apply that aggressiveness to my own goals. How many good managers are there in America? How many good CEOs? Like how many times have you heard about somebody complaining about their manager?
A lot.
A lot, right?
Infinite, yeah.
So there's a big market for good leadership in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the Marine Corps gives us these leadership principles and traits to where if you get out of the Marine Corps after your first 4 years, you're going to have the tools to not just be a okay manager or supervisor or lead or leader. You're going to look at JD Vance, vice president right now. He's a Marine.
And that actually leads me to my other question about the president. What impact does the president have on military people?
We're agnostic to what president it is. We're always going to honor our presidents. We're always going to listen to the president because we are the president's men. The Marines are the only branch that can be affected by what the president says specifically. If he wants us to go do something, the Marine Corps can go do it. So we trust the citizens of America to, choose your presidents wisely, right? And the Marines are going to act. We love our president. Doesn't matter who it is. We stay away from the politics. It's just how can we affect the world in a better place? How can we help people? That's the Marine mindset, I would say.
A lot of people don't know what Marines do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any cool stories you could share about being a Marine and what you've done?
Yeah. I would say like one of the most memorable times was I almost got killed by baboons.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't even humans, man. It was Djibouti, Africa. We were doing some air assault practice for the unit that I was with, and went to the top of a mountain in Djibouti, started talking to the helicopters that were above me, and doing some target practice. I noticed one head of a baboon poked up, a little baby, and it threw a rock at me. So I threw a pebble back at it. Then like 10 little babies came up and started throwing rocks at me. So I started grabbing more pebbles and throwing them back. And then after that, a big one came up. Like, I don't know how big, like how much it weighed, but that thing was about twice, 2 to 3 times bigger than me.
Just like a pack leader?
Yeah, like the mom or dad.
Yeah.
And it kept showing its fangs at me. And it knew what a weapon was because once they all started throwing rocks at me, and the big one came up from the edge of a cliff where I was at, it got up and then it kept like coming closer to me. And then I put my rifle straight, and then it just knew. It just went like that and just went away with its babies.
Oh, it ran away?
Yeah, it ran away. But I was thinking like if all of these baboons came after me, I probably wouldn't hit every single one of them, but whatever ones came like after I'm like 30 rounds are in the magazine, so if I'm not gonna hit all of them. If there's more than 30, then
you think they would have killed you?
Baboons are mean, man.
They're like a whole bunch of little people running after you, huh?
Yeah, with fangs, like huge fangs.
Yeah, those
and
things will
strength,
get you.
Right? Like strength, stronger than a human.
Kind of want to do swing back to that music area and the aspect about just like all the things you do outside of being a Marine.
That's my favorite question. So I love surfing. Not the best at it, but love surfing. Like I said, the music stuff is huge. I've collaborated with dudes from Africa, Liberia specifically. Japan, Britain, and just like all around America, Barstow, California, Warner Brothers, artists from Warner Brothers, and yeah, and I love photography and videography. So Fujifilm X-H2S is my camera that I love shooting with, and yeah, I just love being creative. You know, you're about to go against somebody that is going to be a challenge if they have creative hobbies.
Why do you say that?
Because they have a strong ability to problem solve, and if you're the problem, they're gonna solve you.
Even like an artist, someone like that paints canvases.
Yeah, like Lomachenko he danced for a few years before he became a champ.
Really?
Yeah, he was doing ballroom dancing, I believe it was.
And I heard this analogy the other night actually, and it was about, you know, Air Force has their jets, the Navy has their subs and whatever, but the Marines have each other.
We have our
And
mindset because
and
the Marine itself is the asset, you know. And how do you forge an asset that's a human? It's not a plane, it's not a ship, you know. Like, how do you forge that into a human being? So we start with the Marine Corps boot camp. You know, like we start with putting you through very uncomfortable situations that are going to force you to become resilient. You're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So like how strong would the Marine Corps be if like there's only like one like super strong person, but everybody else is like mediocre?
they can't replicate it.
Exactly.
Not be very strong.
Yep. So you can't be a goat if you can't make a goat. So that leadership comes into to play. What words do you use, and how do you use those words to inspire the person that's struggling, right? And if you're able to make them perform at a high level just as you, then you just multiplied your ability and your capability.
If you could go back to when you first got out of high school or done with school, whatever that looked like, is there anything you'd tell yourself?
Find a mentor. Find like you have to find them. They're not going to come to you, you know. You have to seek self-improvement, and as you're doing that, you're going to find people that speak the same language as you as far as your self-development goes. And then you're going to naturally be more attracted to them, to where you're going to want to listen to them more and find like their book or find like their podcast. Or you don't always have to read books. Podcasts are great.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn from Lex Friedman, for instance, right? The guest that he puts on, Joe Rogan, of course.
And you don't think it matters whether it's a book or a person? And another thing, how do you find that type of person?
You have to develop depth within yourself and your hobbies and your goals in life. Like everybody can't be like, I'm just gonna eat Cheetos and play video games all day, and all of a sudden I'm gonna find a mentor. You have to like find out what you truly like. If it's fitness, if it's creating something, if it's an instrument, if it's learning about business, find some depth behind that, and then whatever answers you cannot find, you're gonna naturally search for them on YouTube or Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody's gonna pop up on a screen. Listen to them and see if they are helping you answer your questions. If they're not helping you answer your questions, then find someone else. Just be relentless with finding someone else until you find that one person that's actually providing you the substance that you're looking for.
Yeah. And that like sitting down, doing nothing, eating Cheetos, it's kind of like you are what you attract.
Yep.
So if that's the type of people you're hanging around and like that's the people coming towards you, that's who you're gonna find.
Yep.
You're not gonna be sitting on your ass and find a gym person.
Exactly. You're not even gonna search it in the bar.
I talked to his name was Mr. King. He goes to Tiger. He's actually like one of the last people I interviewed. He was talking about finding a mentor. You kind of just gotta like, you really gotta make a habit out of it. You really gotta go for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna come to you. You have to find them. But it's just like hard to understand how to actually get that mentor, and like how to say. It's like, do you just find someone that you does what you like, and then you say, "Can you mentor me?" Is that as simple as it is?
No, I would say a lot of the times you're not going to meet You can meet a mentor. I have military mentors. I have people that I look up to in the Marine Corps. That's another huge reason why I stay in, because I get to speak to people that have gone through crazy adversity, and they can teach me how to lead. Still to this day, I can call them up multiple, right? But then there's mentors that I also have, that like a lot of civilian mentors where like they're making one day $1 million offers. All right. Have I met that person, Myron Golden? No, I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to earn my ability to get to that level to where I can actually shake hands with that type of mentor, with Patrick Bet David.
Yeah.
So you listen to them, you take their notes, you take notes on what they're saying and what they're saying in the books, and you apply their principles. And if you apply their principles, you're going to get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
Myron Golden once said, "The beauty about principles is it doesn't matter who uses them; they're agnostic to who uses them. They're principles because they work. It doesn't matter who uses them."
How would your life be different if you didn't go to the Marines?
So I probably would have been working either at a dealership, at a BMW dealership, getting into sales, or I'd be shot, because I had a lot of crazy events growing up
Like
in
what?
Las Vegas. There was a lot of gang violence in my neighborhood. So as my friends were getting shot, like, you'd build up anger and want to get back at other people. So I was like, man, how can I be a good role model, but also like work out and just take frustration out? Join the Marine Corps.
Can you share anything about your childhood like that?
Yeah, had some friends get shot, like at parties and stuff like that, because there was a huge gang problem back when I was growing up. Like, people moving from California to Las Vegas, and what I did was just I was just young, and people were just not wise enough to like stay out of trouble. So
Man, I think that's like definitely shows the importance of leaving your hometown and getting out of that like bubble.
yeah, leaving hometown was, people think traveling is self-indulging. Traveling around the world and seeing how other people live, and smelling the air, shaking the hands of the people, and then seeing what the reasons why they smile, even though they're living under canvas roofs, and stacked stones. It it makes you appreciate where you come from even more. So traveling gives you so much more wisdom.
It gives you a new perspective,
Yep,
doesn't it?
exactly.
Sergeant Guy Sanz, thank you for taking the time and meeting with me.
No problem, man.
Appreciate it.